This was the entrance exam for the world's most elite academy. To pass it, the professor teleports all the students into another world, where they have to fight monsters and each other to earn as many points as possible. Among all the students, one boy clearly stands out, Leo. He's so overwhelmingly powerful that one of the academy's top talents, a girl, decides she has to eliminate him before he can take first place. But her plan fails miserably. Leo humiliates her with ease and proves to everyone who the real number one is. Now the question is, why is this boy so different from everyone else? The answer is simple. He's not an ordinary student. He's a legendary hero from 5,000 years ago. Around 5,000 years ago, humanity was brought to its knees by an existence known as Erebos, the genesis of evil. To wipe out this darkness, for great heroes united. In the final battle, all of them died, and in the end, only one man remained, Kyle, the last hero of the human side. Thanks to his companion's sacrifices, Kyle defeated the incarnation of evil and saved humanity. But that story is 5,000 years old. In the present era, history tells a completely different version. Kyle's name has been completely erased. Everyone is taught that Erebos was defeated by licensed sacrifice. Until now, no one has questioned this story. The real twist comes when the reborn Kyle hears the tale of Erebos' defeat in this era and realizes that his name is nowhere to be found. Watching his identity fade away, Kyle enrolls in Lumina Academy, the same hero academy where the hero records are kept, so he can reclaim his place in the world. Many years have passed since Kyle's reincarnation, and now the scene is set at the Royal School of Dawn. Inside the classroom, the teacher is explaining the current era, known as the Age of Heroes. It's been 5,000 years since the hero records appeared, and the lower world has completely changed during this time. This year, the Lumina entrance examination is being hosted by the Royal School of Dawn. The teacher is extremely excited and firmly believes that future heroes are hidden among these students. But a student sitting in the last row looks completely uninterested and is enjoying his sleep. This student is Leo. The teacher gets irritated by his attitude and assumes that if he's not paying attention, then he must already know everything. The teacher challenges him and asks which ritual was used to become a hero 5,000 years ago. Leo stands up and replies in a completely casual tone. If someone becomes famous enough, people naturally start worshipping them. Leo's full name is Leo Plav, age 15, from the prestigious house of Plav. The teacher is clearly disappointed by this half-hearted answer and asks the class if anyone else wants to give a more detailed response. At that moment, a bright student raises his hand. He explains that in ancient times, there was no direct way to gain recognition from the gods. Holy rituals were performed to select heroes, and among them, the ritual of blood was the most famous. The teacher is extremely impressed by this answer and decides that this student, Galavan of House Trim Kingdom, will become the greatest magical genius of his generation. As for Leo, all of this feels like the same old nonsense to him. Meeting gods was never a big deal for him. It was just a part of life. After all, the gods had granted the lower world a miracle in memory of the heroes who fought Erebos, the hero record. Yet Leo can't understand why he alone was erased from history. No one is willing to acknowledge his contribution, and that thought is slowly eating him up from the inside. A little later, students gather near the windows, desperate to catch a glimpse of the Ziringer clan. Walking at the front of the group, passing through the corridor, is a woman. Her name is Celia Ziringer. The moment her name is mentioned, everyone's curiosity and excitement reach their peak. Suddenly, an announcement echoes through the halls. All students are called to the auditorium for a mandatory assembly. The reason is obvious. The Ziringer clan is visiting the school. As they leave the classroom, Galavan calls out to Leo and asks if he's going to try to catch the Ziringer's attention. Leo doesn't even stop. He just shrugs his shoulders. He has zero interest in this spectacle. He just wants to go home. Leo's indifference only irritates Galavan even more. He can't believe someone could so casually let go of such an opportunity. Trying to act cool, Galavan says he's not particularly interested in the Ziringers either, but then quickly adds that he will definitely go see Celia. After all, she's his rival. It's obvious this is just for show. In reality, he's incredibly excited about gaining recognition from the Ziringer clan. Completely unaffected by all this, Leo walks away as if none of it matters to him at all. Later, Leo is seen at the dojo. His body is exhausted. After swinging the practice stick countless times, his breathing has grown heavy. Finally, he picks up his sword and starts heading out. But the moment he steps outside the door, a woman lunges at him with full force, like a runaway train. Leo is startled, but he blocks the attack just in time with his blade. The clash between them makes it clear that this isn't their first encounter. There's a past between them, and clashes like this are nothing new for them, which makes things like this pretty normal for him. Smiling, the woman says that after so long, she finally got a chance to spar. Then she announces that this match will be Leo's final test before going to Lumina Academy. At that moment, it's revealed that this formidable woman is none other than Leo's mother. The very next second, she lunges at him again. Their swords collide. Sparks fly. Leo is barely able to keep up with her speed. Casually, his mother remarks that she hasn't even used a fraction of her full strength yet. Blow after blow, each strike grows more intense than the last. But slowly, Leo starts gaining control. His swordsmanship and his strength begin to show. Finally, Leo turns the tables. Relying purely on his sheer skill, he forces his mother to retreat. The woman surrenders and stares at him in disbelief. Her voice softens as she asks, "Leo, why are you so determined to go to Lumina Academy?" Before moving the story forward, a bit of context about the academy is necessary. Lumina Academy, the Human Hero Academy, is one of the 4 great institutions where the hero record is kept. Different races have their own academies, but Leo is completely certain that only Lumina Academy holds clues connected to his past life as a hero. That's why, no matter what, he wants to enroll there. For him, it's not just an academy, it's the path to reclaiming his lost identity. Leo's mother tells him that members of the Ziringer clan are currently in Dawn and will be staying at the Plav Mansion. She doesn't particularly like this idea, but she wants to speak with Jais Ziringer, the vice-patriarch of the Ziringer clan. She believes that if Jais teaches Leo the Ziringer aura technique, then Leo will definitely be selected for Lumina Academy next year. But she doesn't know that Leo has absolutely no intention of waiting until next year. A little later, the scene shifts to the Plav Mansion. Celia Ziringer steps down from her carriage and looks around. She wonders why her uncle chose to stay in a place like this instead of a hotel. After all, she is Celia Ziringer, the 15-year-old sword princess and the pride of the Ziringer clan. Her entire focus is on the Lumina entrance exam, and she doubts what a small family like Plav could possibly teach her. Just then, her uncle's voice calls out. It's Jais Ziringer, the vice-patriarch of the Ziringer clan. In a teasing tone, he asks if she isn't even a little curious about meeting Leo, the boy who openly said he had no interest in the Ziringer clan. Calmly, Celia replies that if Leo can't even use aura yet, she doesn't find him particularly impressive. But Jais thinks differently. A faint smile appears on his face, as if he sees something in Leo that others can't. As soon as they enter the mansion, Jais steps forward and formally greets the head of the Plav household. He speaks respectfully with Patriarch Dade Plav and his wife, Raina Plav. The hosts return the courtesy and warmly welcome the Ziringers. After that, Jais introduces Celia to Rhea and Dade. Celia immediately responds with proper etiquette and thanks them for allowing her to stay in their home. Rhea observes Celia closely for a moment. She realizes that Celia resembles her father and uncle not just in appearance, but also in temperament. Meanwhile, Celia's eyes fall on Rhea's jet black hair and red eyes. It doesn't take her long to understand that Rhea belongs to the Ziringer family, which means she's her aunt. A little later, Jais and Rhea, who are siblings, sit together and start talking about old times. During the conversation, Jais mentions his visit to the Royal School of Dawn. They had come to see Leo, but found out that he wasn't interested in meeting anyone and had already left the school. Apologizing on her son's behalf, Rhea says that his behavior may have seemed disrespectful. Curiously, Jais asks Rhea what kind of person Leo really is. Rhea can't stop praising him and says that Leo is exceptionally talented. Hearing this, Jais asks whether Leo is truly worthy of becoming the heir to the Ziringer Flames. Rhea clarifies that she isn't speaking just as a proud mother. Leo genuinely has the potential to carry on that legacy. This makes Jais deeply intrigued. He trusts his sister's judgment, but still decides that before forming a final opinion, he will test Leo himself. Elsewhere, Leo is sitting alone, trying to focus his concentration. After completing a small ritual, he tells himself that he has finally prepared a vessel capable of handling everything he needs. Leo wonders why he hasn't learned aura until now. The reason lies in the unique nature of his body. If he had accepted aura too early, it would have automatically specialized, limiting his ability to accumulate human soul energy. In his past life, he had witnessed the horrifying consequences of uncontrolled power. If he had used the full essence of his companions without control, the seeds of disaster would have remained. To avoid repeating history, Leo wants perfect control in this life. That's why the first step of his journey is aura mastery, but on his own terms. Just then, a familiar voice pulls him out of his thoughts. Turning around, he finds Celia Ziringer standing there. With a smirk, she says that he's finally grasped the basics of training. There's a hint of sarcasm in her words, but she offers to teach him swordsmanship and give him guidance, if he accepts her challenge. The funny thing is, Leo has absolutely no idea who she is. Celia introduces herself. Celia Ziringer, a world-class sword princess. After the introduction, Leo gets straight to the point. He says he feels honored, but he has no intention of training under her. Hearing this, Celia gets irritated because it sounds like Leo considers himself stronger than her. Leo clarifies that in a death match, he might lose to her since he can't use aura. But in a spar based purely on swordsmanship, the story would be different, and he could handle her easily. That completely challenges Celia. She looks around and picks up one of the many swords lying nearby. She wants to prove that Leo's confidence is nothing but an illusion. There's only one thought in her mind. Even after learning aura, Leo still wouldn't be able to defeat her. She wants to teach him a harsh lesson in reality. Stepping forward, Celia declares that if she wins the duel during her week-long stay, Leo will become her servant. The word servant doesn't faze Leo in the slightest. Instead, in a calm voice, he asks what happens if he wins. To level the field, Celia immediately replies that if Leo wins, she'll become his servant. Once the wager is set, Leo picks up a practice sword and starts sparring without any hesitation. His speed is far beyond expectations, but Celia easily outmaneuvers him. Even so, she can't help but notice that Leo's speed is unusually dangerous. Despite that, she's confident that speed alone won't be enough for him to win. They charge at each other again. This time, Leo's strike is incredibly heavy. His sheer strength overwhelms Celia, forcing her to retreat instantly. At that moment, Leo's sword slams into the ground and shatters on the spot. But Leo doesn't stop. Even with a broken sword, he lunges at her again. Up until now, Celia had been arrogant, but regret begins creeping into her heart. She realizes she won't be able to block the incoming strike. Left with no choice, she braces herself and prepares to take the hit head-on. But to everyone's shock, she takes no damage because at the last second, she activates her aura armor. That was against the rules of the spar, since the duel was meant to be based purely on swordsmanship. Still, instead of admitting her mistake, Celia makes an excuse, saying it was just a reflex. In a cold voice, Leo says that he already won, and now it doesn't matter anymore. Celia refuses to accept that, exactly as Leo expected. Suddenly, Leo throws off the magic weight bracelets from his wrists, the weights that had been suppressing his physical strength. With his very next strike, Celia's barrier literally shatters. The girl is completely stunned. Leo shows no mercy now and lets her taste his full strength. Within moments, the outcome of the duel becomes crystal clear. Later, while walking through the courtyard, Leo runs into his mother, who introduces him to his uncle, Jais. Leo immediately bows his head in respect, and Jais does the same. They shake hands. His mother asks if he's already met Celia. Leo casually recalls that after the fight, she fainted out of sheer shock. Leo is about to explain more when a knight reports to Jais. Hearing this, Jais is shocked that Leo defeated Celia without even learning aura. He openly praises Leo. Leo just shrugs and says she underestimated him. Jais then asks what Celia lost in the bet. Leo smiles and replies, the loser had to become the winner's servant. The meaning is clear. Celia will be his maid for the next week. Jais doesn't like the idea, but he understands the importance of keeping one's word. Still, he makes it clear that Celia belongs to House Syringer, so she can't be made to do maid work. He asks Leo to take back the promise, offering him a much more valuable reward in return. But Leo refuses without a second thought. Leo says the wager was between him and Celia, and as long as she carries the Syringer name, she must take responsibility. Jais then asks if Leo would even give up the chance to learn the Syringer aura breathing method. Leo replies sharply that a technique offered to save a niece from humiliation isn't worth learning. Hearing this, Jais' tone turns stern. But Leo isn't intimidated at all. He says Jais is technically right. Suddenly, his uncle's mood softens, and calmly he asks whether Leo doesn't think his behavior is impudent and impolite. Leo clarifies that he had no intention of insulting the Syringers. If the aura breathing method had been offered as a reward for defeating Celia, he would have happily accepted it. But he would never take a bribe meant to save someone from facing the consequences of their defeat. The real issue is this. If his uncle refuses to acknowledge Celia's defeat, then it means he believes Celia is actually superior and merely lost the duel by accident. But Leo makes it clear that even if Celia had fought him with complete seriousness, he still would have won. Hearing this, Leo's mother's chest swells with pride. Her brother is also deeply fascinated by Leo's firm judgment. A child who rejects a reward simply because he doesn't like someone's behavior. This alone shows how exceptional Leo truly is. Jais thinks to himself how he wishes such a child belonged to the Syringer clan. After that, he signals his knights and orders Celia to be sent to the maid's quarters. Then he turns to Leo and gives him permission to address him directly as uncle, without any honorary title. A little later, Leo leaves the area. Jais proudly tells his elder sister that when he returns home, he'll definitely convince his older brother to have Leo taught the mighty phoenix breath technique. The scene shifts to Leo's room. The first thing we see is Celia's completely embarrassed face. She's almost losing her mind from shame and introduces herself as Celia the maid, who will be taking care of Leo for the next week. Leo feels a strange sense of joy in this. Who would have thought that her fancy style would look this good, even in simple maid clothes? She honestly looks stunning. Celia gets annoyed by his compliments. After all, she knows how beautiful she is. Leo apologizes and says he didn't mean to offend her. He explains that he once had a friend who praised beauty a little too much, and maybe that habit rubbed off on him. He recalls how that friend used to say that eternal beauty is unmatched, and if peace ever returned to the world, he would spend his life spreading beauty everywhere. That friend was the dwarven master, Divino. Suddenly, Celia's eyes fall on the book Leo is reading. Curious, she asks about it. Leo tells her that he read this book a lot during his childhood, The Great Hero of the Beginning. Celia remembers reading it when she was 5 years old. Seeing that Leo likes this book, she pulls another one from the shelf and says there are many books about Kyle. Leo replies that many great achievements in history can't be credited to a single hero. Often, the feats attributed to one hero are actually the collective efforts of many heroes. Through his words, he's hinting that Kyle's achievements were also taken and credited to others. But Celia completely rejects that idea and says that Kyle was probably a scammer who wanted to take credit for other people's achievements. At least, that's what most people believe, and she's one of them too. Hearing this doesn't sit well with Leo at all. The world sees Kyle as a fake hero who contributed nothing. Somehow, Leo cuts the topic right there and says that breakfast is important before training. Celia immediately switches into maid mode and politely asks if she can train alongside her young master. On the outside, she's courteous, but inside her mind is filled with toxic thoughts about Leo. Without wasting any time, Leo heads toward the training hall. A while later, Celia is seen kneeling on the ground, breathing heavily and completely worn out. After the first round, Leo gives her feedback. He explains that when her stamina reaches its limit during a fight, her reaction speed drops, gaps appear between her movements, and that's exactly what's happening right now. Because of that, she ends up leaving herself open. Celia starts wondering if exhausting the body to this extent is really the right way to train. Leo gives a positive answer. According to him, youngsters these days have simply grown too weak. Compared to the past, aura techniques have become far more advanced, and maybe that's why people have stopped giving proper importance to physical training. Aura enhances the body's strength, and if the body is trained, the aura grows stronger along with it. Celia refuses to be labeled as weak under any circumstances. Clenching her teeth, she gathers her resolve and stands up for another round. Before attacking, she warns Leo to stop underestimating her. But her reckless charge backfires. With a single swing, Leo sends her flying and she crashes to the ground. After suffering repeated humiliating defeats, Celia becomes completely frustrated. That's when Leo offers her a bracelet. Without thinking, Celia reaches out her hand. Little does she know that the bracelet is infused with weight magic, so heavy that the moment she puts it on, her body staggers. At the same instant, a dangerous smile appears on Leo's face. He makes it clear that from now on, she'll be training while wearing that bracelet. The next day, Jais is also watching him train. Seeing Celia's condition, he understands that this experience is necessary for her. Before going to Lumina, her pride needs to be broken at least once. Jais then calls Leo over and gives him some good news. He's planning to talk to the Patriarch and get permission for Leo to inherit the Phoenix Breath. The moment Leo hears the name Phoenix Breath, he's stunned. He remembers that this is the Ziringer family's original aura technique, one that only those recognized by the family are allowed to learn. Celia speaks up too, saying that her father won't allow it so easily. But Jais has already thought this through. He lays down a condition in front of Leo. If Leo passes the Lumina entrance examination, he'll be taught the Phoenix Breath. Celia absolutely hates this idea. In her eyes, Leo is just a brat who can't even use aura, and the Lumina entrance exam involves real fights. It could even be fatal for him. Leo casually says that he doesn't have real combat experience, though we know that's only true if we don't count his past life. Jais waits for Leo's response. Without hesitation, Leo agrees, with the only condition being that his parents have no objections. A week passes, and finally the day of the Lumina entrance examination arrives. Celia Ziringer's presence at the exam grounds draws everyone's attention. People are stunned just seeing her. Lightly teasing Leo, Celia asks if he's nervous. It seems that after spending so much time as a maid, she's gotten stuck in a role, because she's still calling Leo master. Just then, Galavan's voice is heard. He's come to see Celia, but is shocked to find her with Leo. Galavan throws shade at Leo, assuming he doesn't even belong here since he can't use aura. At the same time, he tries to politely greet Celia. But both of them completely ignore him, as if he doesn't exist at all. Awkwardly, he reminds them of his name, Galavan Traten, but Celia doesn't even remember it and starts walking away, holding Leo's hand. That's when someone else stops them. Two siblings step forward. The tall boy is Abad Lylon, age 16, from the Lylon family, and with him is his younger sister, Chels Lylon, age 14. Celia recognizes them, but Leo has no clue. Celia explains that they're the Lylon siblings, children of the Lylon family from the heroic lineage of the Lorden Empire. Celia is clearly irritated. She warns Leo that both of them will be participating in the exam, and no matter what, the Ziringer clan cannot lose to the Lylon family. But Leo couldn't care less. After all, he's from the Plav family, not the Ziringers. Still, Celia returns their greeting and introduces Leo as a noble of House Plav. Not hearing any fancy title attached to Leo's name, Abad immediately considers him insignificant. The two siblings turn away, leaving behind a warning as they walk off that the top spot will be theirs. Celia hates their attitude and makes up her mind to crush them mercilessly in the upcoming trials. Annoyed, Celia tells Leo that Eli Zarin is recorded in the hero record, one of the heroes of the current era. Leo carefully observes the professor and notices an intense, concentrated mana in his left eye. The professor begins explaining the exam format. The exam has two main parts, one-on-one combat and monster subjugation. Normally, students complete them one by one, but Eli calls that inefficient. He burns the paper he's holding and pulls out a thick ancient book. As he opens it, the first chapter appears, Prologue, The Wild Forest. Suddenly, a massive enchantment circle starts glowing beneath all the students' feet. Eli announces that he's combining all the trials into one. In reality, the hero record isn't just history. It can manifest a hero's world, containing the experiences of past heroes. Through this world, anyone can inherit a hero's power. All the students are transported into the hero world, the Wild Forest. The professor clearly states that there's only one objective: survive. Form teams or eliminate each other. Anything is allowed. If you want to quit, break your orb and return. After observing the surroundings for a bit, Leo recognizes the place. This is the same forest that was once the Elven Forest before it fell under the control of Sultana, the Witch Queen. Some students mistake it for an illusion and want to leave, but Leo knows that everything that happens here will be real and deadly. Just then, Leo senses someone's presence. An arrow crashes into the ground, shattering it. He narrowly avoids it and looks up to see Chels Lylon standing there. Mistaking him for a Ziringer, she's determined to eliminate him. Leo quickly explains that he's from the Plav family, but Chels only becomes more aggressive, thinking he's lying. Without hesitation, she casts magic wind spells. Leo is impressed by the spell. It didn't exist in his past life, but the fundamentals are the same. Chels grows even more frustrated at how calm and composed he remains in front of her. To shake him, Chels unleashes one of her impressive abilities, but Leo blocks it effortlessly with a single swing. He blocks it. The mana blade she fired just drops to the ground like it's nothing. Seeing this, Chels is completely shaken. She can't wrap her head around it. He didn't even use aura. So how'd he block her attack so easily? Leo casually rubs salt into her wounded ego and says her attack was way too simple. Then Leo offers her an alliance. He reminds her that the one who survives the longest scores the most points. As a sorcerer, she should at least try to clear one test. Her response is completely predictable. She snaps back, saying she's not some normal sorcerer, she's a battle mage. Leo, calling her attack simple, hits her hard. To save her pride, she goes all out, determined to crush him right there. But all her attacks fail, because Leo isn't even standing where her blades are going. Even worse, she can't sense even the slightest trace of mana anywhere. That's why she can't detect Leo's position at all. Suddenly, her eyes land on Leo. He's standing right in front of her, fist clenched. Whether that punch lands on her face or not isn't shown, but one thing is clear: Chell's knees give out. That's a clear sign of our boy's victory. Leo calmly repeats that his alliance offer is still open, in case she changes her mind. Before she can answer, the scene shifts. The Lumina Academy faculty is watching everything through a digital window. They're excited. The exam has finally become interesting. The scene cuts back to Chels, and now there's zero mercy on display. Leo has tied Chels to a tree trunk. The look on his face clearly says his intentions aren't exactly kind. He lights a small bonfire as night starts to fall. The fire grows stronger, and the flames begin creeping toward the tied-up girl. Seeing the fire, Chels panics. If she cooperates with Leo, she can survive. But this girl is stubborn to the core. She flat out refuses and says she doesn't need anyone's alliance except her brother's. She tries to use wind magic, but it's useless Leo has already activated a skill that restricts magic. Inside, Leo thinks to himself that he doesn't have enough mana to maintain this skill for long. Chels finally decides she'll free herself without magic. But that's exactly what Leo wants. He stays fully alert, so she can't try anything clever. Without hesitation, he increases the intensity of the fire. The flames start catching onto her clothes. This is her breaking point. Chels finally gives in and agrees to an alliance. But Leo isn't satisfied with words alone. He tells her to swear on her family name. Left with no choice, Chels swears on the name of the Llewellyn family and promises cooperation. Only then does Leo untie the ropes. Chels almost collapses, but Leo catches her in his arms. The scene shifts back to the teachers. Ollie's Aaron is closely observing the students. So far, none of them meet his standards. In his view, students fighting each other is foolish. The only ones showing real strength are Celia Jerringer and Abad Leland, who are working together. That gives him some satisfaction. Then his gaze falls on Leo and Chels. This case is complicated. Ollie's eyes linger especially on Leo. The fire stunt with Chels was immature, but forcing Chels Llewellyn to cooperate earns him a passing grade, at least in Ollie's eyes. Ollie believes Leo doesn't have the power or grace of Celia or Abad, but that's where he's completely wrong. After all, Leo defeated Celia without breaking a sweat. Regardless, Ollie now considers him the dark horse of this competition. Cutting through a few monsters, Leo and Chels move forward. Even Chels starts feeling that forming an alliance with Leo wasn't such a bad decision. She asks him what kind of aura he's using, because she can't detect any mana at all. Leo casually drops a bomb. He says he doesn't know how to use aura at all. Chels is completely shocked. As they talk, a monster hidden behind the bushes watches them. Chels notices immediately and attacks it. The attack is way too powerful for such a weak monster. Leo agrees. She really does have impressive strength. She's just using it the wrong way. Suddenly, Leo senses something strange and tells Chels to stop. Something is off about the sand. He kneels down to inspect it. The ground is dry, and there are rotten corpses scattered around. Suddenly, an explosion goes off. Leo instantly grabs Chels and jumps away. The ones who set the trap appear. It's Gulvin and his group. Gulvin has an old grudge against Leo, so he's the target. Gulvin orders one of his men to charge. The poor guy rushes in without thinking, and Leo shatters his jaw with a single punch. Leo stands there, overflowing with killing intent, and tells Chels to just cover his back. Chels is stunned. This is the second time he's saved her. She quickly gets up and takes position behind him. Meanwhile, Gulvin runs away to save his own life, abandoning his companions. There's only one thought in his mind: find a partner fast. By sheer luck, Celia spots him from a distance. Instead of chasing him, she moves in the direction he ran from. When everyone reaches that place, the scene is shocking. Monster corpses and student bodies are scattered everywhere. Chels is relieved to see her brother. Celia throws a sarcastic comment at Leo, asking what he's doing with Chels. Leo proudly says that forming the alliance was his decision. Celia can't believe it. To her, it's easier to believe she saw a cockroach doing backflips than to believe Leo convinced a stubborn girl like Chels. Leo just gives a wicked grin and says he convinced her. That grin even makes Celia uneasy. She starts wondering what he actually did. Leo then starts helping up the students he knocked down earlier. Abad asks why he's helping enemies. Leo makes it clear there's no need to fight each other. It's better to face this world's challenges together. When the others look confused, Leo points toward the corpses nearby. One student says the bodies have been completely drained of moisture. Leo adds that that's not the only strange thing. The monsters are gone too, as if they're afraid of some high-tier monster. Abad understands immediately. Hero Ali's first feat was also defeating a high-tier monster. Suddenly, a massive roar echoes through the forest. The air fills with tension. The monster has finally decided to reveal itself. Meanwhile, in another part of the forest, Gulvin is wandering alone. Holding a torch, he's terrified. Despite how bad things are, his weak mind is focused not on survival, but on revenge against Leo. Then he notices a corpse near his feet. The next moment, something moves behind the curtain of darkness, and he stumbles and falls. What he sees is a joint monster, a gigantic spider, and it's hungry. There's no doubt now. Gulvin's death is certain. The scene shifts to Professor Albie and Lumina Academy. A shocking fact is revealed. 5 students have already failed the exam. The problem is that at least 100 students are needed for the selection process. But only 50 remain in the test now. Even so, Ollie Zarin doesn't want to force a selection. The headmaster chose him for this reason, to select only the absolute best. Ollie believes true heroes reveal themselves in hard times. That's why his eyes are fixed on Leo Plow, a dark horse hiding unexpected talent. The question is, can this dark horse survive such a brutal exam? Back at the exam ground, the atmosphere is extremely dark. The students are struggling just to move. Then Celia illuminates her sword and says she sees something ahead. In the red glow of her blade, a horrifying sight appears. A massive spider chewing on its prey. Fear spreads instantly. Abad immediately charges in with a mage spell, but Leo stops him and tells Gulvin to break the crystal. But Gulvin has already become breakfast in the spider's jaws. Somehow, he manages to break the blue crystal. A surge of electricity rushes into the monster's mouth. Abad then charges and releases the Wind Fang spell at the monster. The attack injures it, but doesn't kill it. All the students realize just how massive the danger is. This creature is the Spider Princess Tarantula, and she is not cute at all. One foolish student rushes in for a melee attack and gets slammed to the ground in a single hit. Then Celia steps forward, believing she can end the fight in one strike. She activates the Prominence spell. A destructive red beam tears through the monster's body, but the spider tanks it and instantly regenerates. Now Abad tries to explain to Celia that the destructive power of a mage and a knight is different. He releases the Raffaele wind spell, slicing the spider into a spiral, but even after the attack ends, the creature remains standing. Chels immediately casts wind breaker magic to save her brother. Even so, Abad is injured by the spider's claw, though the magic reduces the damage. Both siblings realize it. The monster's regeneration is insane. Despair starts creeping into their hearts. Queen Tarantula advances to finish them off. That's when Leo speaks up. He says this creature is Sultana's daughter. In Abo's army, it was a deadly monster that burned down the elf forest. Leo remembers that Professor Alby's left eye contains the Fairy King's mana. Tarantula once ruled the wild forest. She not only destroyed the elf's forest, but also devoured the Fairy King's most trusted companion. Leo once believed Luna had killed Tarantula, but the truth is different. Tarantula survived because she devoured the Fairy King's assistant, who possessed an infinite source of life energy, the Ring of Life. Now Celia insists that as part of the exam, she'll defeat the monster herself. Abad also insists on a solo fight. Leo understands this is pointless. The monster will regenerate endlessly, and their mana will run out first. Finally, Celia asks for Leo's opinion. Leo says this fight demands teamwork, but both Abad and Celia are stuck in their egos. Leo firmly gives them a reality check. If they don't fight together, they'll all fail. His words finally hit home. Abad agrees that with a combined attack, the monster can be killed in a single strike, but they need time. The problem is who will stall the monster. Leo steps forward and says he can buy time. Celia thinks he's insane. He can't even use aura. Leo says he can hold it for 5 minutes. Abad worries the attack might still fail, but Leo is confident. He picks up a weapon from the ground and says fire and wind elemental affinity will be enough. At last, the Sword Princess and the Great Magician form a team. Leo sees the spider as a worthy challenge, something that reminds him of his past life. As the fight begins, he slices off the monster's limb in a single swift swing. Celia and Abad are shocked. Leo relentlessly strikes the creature's face. Tartarus, the same monster. In a flashback, an elven child is seen running. The spider traps the child in its web. The child cries out for his mother. A being of light appears. Luna, the goddess of light, stops the creature. In her fury, she unleashes a light attack. Thunder crashes down. At the same time, in his past life, Leo helps free the child from the web. Back in the present, Leo stands holding an axe, ready to buy time. He tells Chels to create elemental weapons. Dodging at high speed, he keeps switching weapons, daggers, scimitars, battle axes. Chels is stunned. His physical capability is insane. Abad agrees. Leo really is strong, but he's not invincible. One strike from the spider. It grazes his face. Leo thinks that if he can't even stop a stupid spider here, his friends in the afterlife will never forgive him. He cranks up his intensity and slices the spider down. Then he asks for another weapon. Unfortunately, Chels has no weapons left, which catches him off guard. Thankfully, Celia has already prepared her ultimate strike. She unleashes a roaring spiral of fire that completely burns the creature to ashes, defeating it on the spot. The Ring of Life drops cleanly from its body, and the monster is finally subdued. Celia collapses to the ground, breathing in relief, knowing it's finally over. Still, she can't stop herself from focusing on Leo's inhuman performance, holding Tartaro's back for a full 5 minutes. Celia is just about to praise him when Chels beats her to it. She's become his #1 fan and says what he just did was on par with the heroes of legend. Leo doesn't give it much attention, but this girl is completely obsessed now and wants to become a battle mage specialist. She begs him to train her. The funny thing is, Celia actually wants Chels to receive his exclusive training, so she can taste real suffering. Anyway, our boy steps forward and picks up the Ring of Life. From it, a A prince manifests as a fairy. Leo calls him by name, awakening the prince's memories. Hearing this, he returns to the ring and acknowledges Celia as the fairy king. All of this becomes possible because of Professor Alby's Eye of Manhwa. The testing ground countdown begins. Clearing this stage earns them the Fairy King's Pledge as a reward. Before being transferred out, Leo recognizes someone connected to his past life. Fast forward to Kane Badon, the Academy's principal, reviewing the Western Territory exam report. His assistant asks how many students Alby passed despite his strict requirements. The headmaster is surprised to see 40 students clear the exam. Even so, the number isn't very large. Still, he isn't disappointed because he expected barely 10 students to pass. This alone is a major achievement. Celia and Abad seem like the top candidates in his eyes. Then, the headmaster learns that one student has been recommended as the year representative. The most shocking part is that this recommendation came directly from Alby. Everyone assumes it must be a candidate from the Geringer or Lillian house. But the truth is, the name that appears is one no one has heard before. A name that outperformed both Celia and Abad. The scene shifts to Professor Alby, who is closely assessing that boy's abilities. He recommends Leo Plow as the Night Division's representative. The headmaster is stunned by such high praise. Alby specifically says this candidate has the talent of a true hero. After the exam is completely settled, our boy is enjoying a hot bath all alone. Soaking in the warmth, he reflects on his reward for clearing the exam, the Fairy King's Pledge. Normally, heroes don't receive any special reward for clearing the living world. But strangely, he was given this as an exception. Leo can't understand why. And then he sees his mother standing in front of him. She asks if he knows why she was expelled from the Geringer house. While trying to save an ally, she lost control and unleashed the Geringer flames. But she has no regrets about her decision, neither then nor now. Looking at her only son, she hopes his incredible talent goes in the right direction. She also sincerely congratulates him on being accepted into the academy. As they step into Lumria City, the students are told to collect their belongings before leaving the gate. Lumria is the centerpiece of the world, and Lumina Academy is its most precious institution. As soon as Leo arrives, his uncle greets him and congratulates him on passing. Leo is surprised to see him there and learns that the Geringer house has been stuck in an inheritance debate for the past month. His uncle asks if he knows the reason for this conflict. Leo guesses it's related to the inheritance of Phoenix Breath. His uncle confirms it. Even though his elder sister isn't part of the Geringer clan, Leo is still her son. On top of that, the elders are deeply impressed by him clearing the Western exam, which is notorious for its difficulty. Leo is given a special subspace, which he activates immediately. A special book opens up. His uncle tells him to drip his blood onto the pages. Leo cuts his thumb and lets drops of blood fall onto the book. The moment the blood is shared, he gains access to knowledge no one else can see. Mastering Geringer techniques isn't easy, but his uncle has complete faith in Leo's talent. He believes Leo will learn it quickly. With that, he officially welcomes him into the Geringer house. After the meeting, Celia asks Leo to meet her at an unknown location. Just then, a girl suddenly bumps into him, and they both fall. Wearing glasses, the girl hurriedly gathers her books and apologizes before leaving. Leo notices her card. It reads, Chloe Merrill, Lumina Academy freshman. When he opens the door, he sees an angry Celia standing there, reminding him that they have a lot of shopping to do and that he's already late. He apologizes and explains that he ran into his uncle on the way. Celia's face lights up, and she eagerly asks what happened. In response, Leo summons the flames of the Geringer family and asks if he's on the right path. Celia is stunned. Leo mastered the secret technique in less than a month. She's so shocked by his achievement that she starts wondering if he's even human. Later, the Sword Princess and the Forgotten Hero watch a docking ship. Professor Alandon Du introduces himself as the night class instructor and tells the students to board immediately. They're departing for Lumen. The journey begins, and the students spend their time relaxing. Leo and Celia look like a couple, which draws a comment from a confident boy and leaves Celia embarrassed. He's an alchemist from the Mora Kingdom and a merchant who sells just about everything. He tries to sell school supplies to the students. Leo introduces himself with his student identity and says he's from the Dad Kingdom. Hearing this, Thomas is shocked because that's the same kingdom that went for the Western exam. To Leo, the atmosphere feels almost too peaceful. Celia says freshmen are treated like this after clearing the exam. Suddenly, the ship starts to shake. A massive tentacle rises from the sea and nearly crushes Thomas. The students beg the instructor for help, but he calmly sips his wine and mocks them instead. He reminds them that Lumina Academy students are expected to perform on their own when facing danger. Standing before them is a terrifying giant kraken. Even in all this tension, The forgotten hero stays calm and slices off a tentacle with his blade. Celia quickly regains her composure as well. The Sword Princess unleashes a fiery attack, causing the Kraken to spray water everywhere, completely soaking Celia. The monster grabs Thomas, who starts screaming nonstop. Seeing this, Leo and Celia rush forward at full speed to cut him free. The alchemist is left in shock along with his greed. He expected the Sword Princess to perform well, but he never imagined that another student could be just as fierce. Thomas is nearly crushed by a frozen tentacle and shouts at the guy who almost got him killed. That's when Chloe appears, the same glasses-wearing girl, commanding ice magic and holding the monster back all by herself. She scolds the alchemist for being a useless burden in battle instead of staying back. Thomas admits that people like him, who are weaker yet still try to help, are treated as if they don't matter at all. Another tentacle is crushed, and with that, Abad and Shells make their dynamic duo entry into the scene. The rivalry between their clans still isn't over. Even so, despite being a battle mage, Shells can't take her eyes off our boy, even if they're technically enemies. More monsters from the lake begin swarming toward the academy, and the instructor thinks this makes for a perfect welcome party for the freshman. Enjoying himself, he starts commenting on the top performers: Chan, Celia, Abad, Chloe, Walden, and finally Dorimora. The captains from every region are putting on an impressive show against the threat. But beyond all of them, there's one student who overshadows everyone else. An unknown freshman with no regional command. His swordsmanship defines perfection, and he reacts as if he's already predicted every attack. The instructor is pleased, knowing he'll get to witness this boy's full potential in his classes. Soon enough, the useless alchemist runs out of potions, and finally, they reach their destination. As they disembark, the instructor hopes the students get used to monster encounters because they'll be dealing with them again and again. Now it's time to see the glorious entrance hall. Lumina Academy's training grounds are truly extraordinary. Many spectators are eager to see the freshmen put on a spectacular show. The entrance ceremony is about to begin. The Night Division is grouped by their instructor, and the captains are called forward. The Academy's headmaster oversees the announcements and has high hopes for this year's hero candidates. He emphasizes that if they truly want to become strong heroes, they must be ready to risk their lives and constantly push past their limits. Slamming his fist into the ground, the headmaster declares that anyone who can't meet even his bare minimum standards doesn't deserve to be in this prestigious institution. Then, in the very next moment, he turns into a kind grandfather, as if he hadn't just terrified them all. Calian gestures and asks why everyone suddenly went quiet. His shining reputation as a brilliant swordmaster is slowly fading day by day. Next comes the speech by the freshman representative, a name all first years have been eagerly waiting for. It's not Celia, not Abad, not Chloe, and not anyone else. Only one name is called: Leo Plav, and even he is shocked to hear it. He immediately looks toward the professor and realizes the recommendation must have come from him. Leo steps up to the podium and addresses the professors and seniors. Meanwhile, several students start muttering among themselves about this unknown student. They have no idea who he is or what he's done. As the speech reaches its exhausting end, Leo Plav is asked about his goals as the year representative. He understands that they're deliberately trying to provoke the finishers standing behind him. Leo responds in a very polite and professional manner, drawing the attention of the other instructors. Everyone assumes the ceremony will remain reserved and uneventful. But then our boy goes completely crazy and openly declares that he's ready to accept any challenge, anyone who wants to come for his position. This hostile and bold announcement provokes the top rankers. But Leo doesn't care who he has to face. Once the announcements are settled, the students head to their dormitories. Starting tomorrow, there will be a week of exploratory classes. This is a special grace period where students can attend any classes they want before choosing 3 subjects to major in later. They're clearly told to get proper rest, so they don't struggle on the first day of real classes. Leo's room is right next to Thomas's, who's extremely excited about tomorrow's first class. They wish each other good night, and Leo collapses onto his bed. His mind keeps spinning with one question: what does he truly want to achieve at this academy? Having earned his place in the best institution, he sincerely hopes that he will find his long-lost hero record. The next day in the cafeteria, Thomas wants to share a seat with our boy, and Leo, who really doesn't care much either way, agrees to his request. Leo then gets an annoyed visitor, someone he doesn't even recognize. It's Duran from the Central Region, and he's here to confirm whether the challenge announced earlier actually holds any weight or not. Leo understands that his speech was completely provocative. After all, he had openly invited a stranger to challenge him in an aggressive way. Duran considers himself a big hotshot from the Central Region, but Leo couldn't care less and calmly keeps sipping his fruit juice. Being taken lightly ticks Duran off, and in anger, he throws a thunder kick that sends the table flying. But Leo's inhuman speed allows him to rearrange the ingredients and remake his perfect cheeseburger in an instant. This guy is a living example of class. He literally turned the entire situation into a meal. Leo provokes him further, saying he just couldn't watch free food go to waste. On the other hand, with every single word, Duran grows more determined to kill this kid. He believes the freshman representative is far weaker than him, and his ego simply can't handle that fact. Before things escalate, their instructor intervenes, casually placing a hand on both students' shoulders. He politely mentions their ranks. One is the year representative, and the other is a regional captain. The instructor hopes they're prepared to face the punishment that comes with engaging in a fight on the very first day. Both of their faces clearly show they're crying for help on the inside. Now we jump straight to the night department's first exploratory class. For some reason, Celia is worried because Leo still hasn't shown up. He finally appears, completely out of breath and exhausted. Seeing his condition, Celia's attention immediately locks onto him. Thinking he must have gotten into a fight, Leo decides not to explain anything for now. The class is about to begin. The instructor introduces himself as the first-year night class instructor. Thomas notices that relations between Duran and Leo are already bad. Meanwhile, the teacher explains the three main powers that emerge from mana. The first is magic energy, the second is soul energy, and finally aura. Among these three, aura is considered the most difficult. Celia adds that this is because, during the conversion process, aura requires sacrificing mana fluidity. Her answer is completely correct, since magic and soul energy use mana in its natural state. Aura, on the other hand, absorbs mana and converts it according to the body. The instructor demonstrates aura and asks if anyone knows how processed aura from the body is used. Celia thinks it over, but can't come up with a solid answer. That's when the freshman representative breaks his silence and explains that to use aura's power, mana has to be burned. The instructor says he's reached the correct conclusion and then asks what the most crucial aspect of the mana burning process is. Leo immediately answers, stamina. One of the instructors is deeply impressed by Leo's understanding of aura and asks if he studied this concept before. It turns out Leo has never formally studied aura at all. Once again, this proves his incredible feat. Someone who hasn't even studied aura has grasped its true essence. Deciding to end the theoretical explanation there, the instructor says it's time for some practical exercise. Using his aura, he creates a wave-like platform called Aura Step. This technique is based on concentrating aura power into the feet. He steps down and excitedly explains that the applications of aura are practically endless. Some other students begin experimenting and start sparring with each other, while Celia teases our boy. She says that if Leo calls her sister, she'll be happy to teach him Aura Step. Leo doesn't really feel the need for her help, since he's already satisfied just knowing the principles of aura. Spotting Duran, standing to the side, the instructor sees the perfect opportunity to address the cafeteria commotion. Some students, like Chels, don't know what happened, and Thomas only fuels their curiosity with his commentary. The instructor calls both Leo and Duran forward. First, he asks Duran why he got so angry. After hearing Duran's dismissive reply, the instructor makes a perfect suggestion. He wants the Central Region's captain and the freshman representative to face off in a running competition to decide which student is fit to lead the class. He makes it clear that both students are free to use their aura without any restrictions, which feels like a perfect advantage for Duran. The day of the competition arrives. Thomas, the expert businessman, is busy hosting a betting system. The first contestant is the genius of the house of Moira and master of lightning aura, Duran. Standing opposite him is a dark horse with no special background. The man who surpassed even the regional captains and became the freshman representative, Leo Plav. The students have huge expectations from the freshman representative. At the same time, they're extremely underwhelmed by the fact that he can't even use a simple move like Aura Burst. Everyone believes his position is completely undeserved, and that the Central Region's captain is far more fit to be the representative. Sensing the right moment, the instructor explains the rules. Whoever touches the finish line first wins, and the loser must accept the result without making excuses. The race is about to begin. Even Celia feels that winning this competition might be a bit too much of a stretch for Leo. Duran specializes in speed, and on top of that, he has blazing fast lightning aura. Still, Celia hopes Leo will flip everyone's expectations and pull off something impossible. The race starts, and Duran immediately accelerates and takes the lead. At the professor's shout to go, both racers blast off. Duran Mora cloaks himself in lightning aura, confident that his speed will leave Leo in the dust. With impeccable running form, Our boy remains completely unfazed by the weak trash talk near the starting line. Just as the crowd expects, the cool representative of the Central region seems to be finishing the track quickly. On the other hand, the freshman representative appears to be falling behind. Leo infuses a bit of aura into his legs to increase his speed. The audience immediately starts calling him someone who scammed his way into the representative role. Amid the entire crowd's opposition, a single voice pierces through. Chel's passionate shout of support stands out clearly. Focused on crushing his opponent, Duran continues proving his family's signature attribute. He really is lightning fast. Watching him cross the halfway point at such inhuman speed, even Celia starts worrying about her friend. It feels like if Leo doesn't speed up, he's going to lose. That's when Leo carefully observes the track. To everyone's shock, instead of speeding up, he slows down. As his momentum dies, Leo leaves the track and starts running toward the walls. It's true that Celia trusts him, but his actions show no logical explanation at all. He looks like a complete idiot. While everyone is confused and lost, Leo focuses on increasing the density of aura in his legs. With a series of inhuman jumps, he completely leaves the track, lands on the grass, and then leaps into the stands. He looks back to see Duran extending his lead with steady speed. Leo's aura density reaches its peak. The fiery force from his legs starts cracking the stand beneath him. With a powerful leap, he launches himself back onto the track with immense momentum. The jump is so staggeringly impactful that it leaves behind a small explosion, which distracts Duran for a split second. From that explosion, Leo shoots out like a red meteor. Blazing across the entire track, this cheeky devil flies past while even taunting Duran. Calling the arrogant brat a slowpoke, the speeding meteor reaches the finish line in the blink of an eye. His graceful landing is a sight to behold. Duran stands a few meters away, completely dumbfounded. His lightning cloak has vanished. This is a clear and absolute L. Leo tilts his head back and smiles with confidence. He's won. Sure, the damage to the stands is pretty heavy, but it was worth it. The crowd that was trash-talking just moments ago is now totally bewildered. They realize that what they just witnessed was no joke. As far as they know, Duran is the fastest among first-year students. The idea that someone could defeat him, especially a guy who hasn't even properly learned aura yet, is absurd. Among the entire crowd, one of the few people who truly understood what Leo actually did was Celia. She knew he didn't use any ordinary step. What he displayed wasn't a simple move, but a full-blown phoenix step. As soon as Leo wins, Car and Chels burst with joy and start showering their friend with praise. The professor silently reflects on the scene he just witnessed. Duran used his specialty, lightning aura, to boost his speed, which was expected. Even so, the speed he showed was still mind-blowing. On the other hand, Leo Plav was relatively slow in the traditional sense, but he turned out to be far superior at handling aura. He gathered his fire aura into his legs, focused, and blasted off. In the process, he created a single, formidable aura step. It was a flawless application of a simple concept. Being a true sportsman, Leo approaches Duran and extends his hand, saying it was a good match. He even admits that if this had been a long-distance race, the result might have been different. But drowning in the bitterness of defeat, the brat refuses to shake hands and shoves Leo aside with a shoulder. The professor becomes fully convinced that among this generation of disciples, a truly formidable hero might finally be born. As Leo returns to his friends, Chels immediately showers him with compliments. He looks so cool that she even expresses her desire to train with him. Car asks Celia why Chels is so interested in Leo and not him, even though the answer is pretty obvious. After class ends, Car invites everyone to go to the cafe and even offers to treat them. Leo apologizes, saying he can't join them for leisure. Without saying anything else, he quietly separates from his group. When asked where he's going, he simply says he's going to observe the summoning classes. His friends are left confused. Why would a night student sit in on summoning classes? As always, the reason is research purposes. There's still one thing Leo can't understand. Why did the Fairy King give him a pledge as a reward? As far as he knows, rewards in the hero's world are tied to the world owner's power. The reward he received seems related to summoning. But Professor Albie is a pure magician, not a summoner. By that logic, Leo should have received a magic-related ability instead. On top of that, to make contact with a fairy, one usually has to go to the fairy realm. For now, the reward he received doesn't seem useful at all. While Leo is waiting at the summoning class area, a familiar voice asks him if he's also a summoning student. Standing before him is the Eastern captain and top scorer, Chansha. Unlike the captain he just raced against, this girl is polite, cheerful, and kind. They exchange pleasantries, and she insists that from now on, he should just call her Sia. She's certain that Leo is a Night Division student, so his interest in summoning is unexpected. Leo explains that he's simply interested in spiritualism. If that's the case, she says, they'll likely keep running into each other in many future classes. When asked which spirit she's contracted with, Sia summons a beautiful water sprite out of thin air. Unfortunately, Leo hasn't made a single contract yet. Staying kind as ever, Sia tells him that if he ever needs help with spirit summoning, he can call on her anytime. Leo isn't the type to reject help or connections. Then he accidentally asks a lady her age. Sia smiles and says she's 17 years old. She also knows that Leo is younger, only 15. A thought crosses Leo's mind about how young Sia looks. She even seems younger than Chels. Sia notices his brief pause and asks if he was thinking something rude, which Leo immediately denies. Yes, boys always deny. Anyway, she had really just come to say that she was extremely impressed by his race against Iran. She was there in the crowd at the time. Watching him blaze across the track left a permanent impression in her memory. With determination, she tells Leo that she told him that one day she hoped he'd accept her challenge. Amused, Leo smiled and didn't back down. After meeting so many bombastic personalities, it was refreshing to meet someone normal. With that, the Summoning Division's exploratory class officially began. From the start, the venue was unusual. Instead of a traditional classroom, they were out in open fields. Some notable figures were present as well. Judging by their faces and white hair, it was clear these weren't extras. They were the real deal. Leo scanned the area and noticed that the number of students was quite small, which was exactly what he had expected. Summoning was never a popular choice. As he was wondering why the class was outdoors, the answer came from above, literally. A massive, scaly creature descended from the sky, its wings so large they nearly blocked out the sun. Flying over the students' heads, it landed and revealed its terrifying form, a black wyvern. Some students with weaker willpower immediately felt their knees give out. Then the woman riding the wyvern smiled and said it seemed her wyvern was starting to like this class. She leapt from her mount and introduced herself as Yura Marin, the freshman summoning teacher who would guide them throughout the school year. Miss Yura was grade A beauty, long white hair, toned body, and devilish features. Hormonal students couldn't help but wish they could be her personal summon. Leo thought that if Parvino were here, seeing this woman with a different charm than Luna or Lux, his mind would definitely spin. He would probably be inspired to create even more cultured art. Without wasting time, Miss Yura got straight to business. Addressing her little green horse, she said that being part of this prestigious program proved they had some talent in this field. The freshman nodded confidently, which immediately impressed her. She decided to move to the practice area and called Carlo, the first-year summoning class's associate professor, to bring out the griffins. Miss Yura explained that they'd ride in pairs and that there were enough griffins for everyone to fit comfortably. The only problem, this was everyone's first time handling such fiery creatures. As soon as someone complained, Miss Yura's eyes turned hostile. She asked if they wanted to listen to her lesson or not. Mounting her black wyvern, she announced that anyone who thought they couldn't ride a griffin should quit and step back. Her scaly beast mirrored her intensity, roaring, flapping its wings, and taking flight with dominance. Everyone else trembled in fear, except for one tall student standing calmly, completely unbothered. Associate Professor Carlo lightly intervened, telling the students to hurry and follow the professor. Once their initial fear and uncertainty subsided, most students realized that griffins weren't as dangerous as they had imagined. Still, some four-legged birds were tricky to handle. It was a classic case of luck of the draw. Leo and Sia became partners for this activity. She politely asked if she could hold the reins, and Leo happily gave her the spot. Students began rising from the ground in pairs. Those who adapted quickly kept pace with the professor, flying past the sea into the sky. None of them expected to be given such a bold task, riding a griffin, on their first day. Thanks to Lumina's top-notch programs, their uneasiness about griffins almost completely vanished. Some students argued over who should hold the reins, but Sia and Leo calmly soared through the sky. Sia was the driver. She was a bit wary, but their griffin was truly a sweetheart. Still, caution was necessary. Controlling griffins isn't easy for first-time riders. When everything was running smoothly, Miss Yura decided to shake things up. She blew her whistle with all her might, producing a sound inaudible to humans but heard by the griffins. The four-legged birds reacted instinctively, showing erratic behavior. Weak students looked to the professor for help, not realizing that this chaos was intentional. Miss Yura believed that anyone who couldn't handle even an out-of-control griffin didn't deserve to call themselves a Lumina Academy student. Even Sia, a reasonably experienced young summoner, struggled with her griffin. Leo stepped in, holding her hand and ways to stabilize her seat. He warned her that griffins were proud beasts, and trying to overpower them would make them even more uncontrollable. Leo's touch was gentle. He subtly guided her fingers to keep the frantic mount under control. Taking charge from behind, he increased the griffin's speed, flying faster and steadier than ever, eventually even leaving the professor and his associate behind. Miss Yura openly praised his control over the beast. Turning to Carlo, she asked if the freshman representative was applying for the night major. According to the records, he should be. He handled the griffin so skillfully that she wondered if he had a personal griffin at home. But Carlo's records confirmed that Leo didn't come from a noble household that could afford such a thing. That meant he was entirely relying on his own talent. The class had just begun, but Miss Yura was optimistic that she might have discovered a hidden gem. After the sky debacle, every student eventually reached the Island of Summons, the main practice ground for all summoning majors. Many kids were puking on the beach after the wild ride, while Leo calmly walked along the white sandy shore, searching for a suitable fruit. When he found one of the right size and ripeness, he gestured to pick it and noticed a burned feather. His mind started running through possibilities, but he kept it to himself for now. After collecting the fruit, he fed it to the griffin as a gesture of gratitude, ensuring it safely returned from the island. Once everyone had gathered, Miss Yura called the students together. They were about to face a practical exam on the very first day. At least that much was certain. Some students had come just to watch the exploratory period, but now they were dealing with an impromptu exam. Miss Yura explained that summoners' paths were much longer than the other two majors. Students knew this already. Controlling mana alone wasn't enough for summoning. To properly summon a suitable spirit, they needed the right spirit affinity. Adequate taming ability was essential to command a summon effectively. It was a tough and complex path, which is why summoner heroes were far fewer in number than other classes. However, summoners who did achieve that title accomplished far more than most other heroes. Great summoners had etched their names deeply into history. That's the allure of becoming a summoner. Every student here wanted to become a legendary figure in their own way. Eliza Harjan, a summoner hero from the northern part of the Harjan clan, stepped forward and asked the professor what kind of exam they'd face. Miss Yura explained that, as the name suggests, the Island of Summons was filled with beasts and spirits. For summoners, a summon is like a weapon. The exam would test each student's taming ability. The content was straightforward. They had to go into the forest, tame a summon, and bring it back to the beach. Once tamed and contracted, the summon would belong to them. Students jumped for joy. They didn't get a chance to tame their own beasts every day. While the others rushed excitedly into the woods to find new pets, Leo walked calmly into the forest. Surprisingly, Eliza followed him from the entrance. Rumors of his victory over Duran had spread quickly, and seeing him in summoning class, she couldn't resist saying hello. Other prominent students also began paying attention to the interaction. Leo lightly brushed past Eliza and nonchalantly said he was just giving his best effort. He dismissed her as if she were a random commoner. This made Eliza furious. Meanwhile, Miss Yura, observing her freshman class from a distance, had already identified her students. Within minutes, many had begun the process of taming their chosen beasts, but none caught Leo's attention. Some students noticed that the freshman representative was venturing unusually deep into the forest. Some even started wishing for his downfall, assuming he'd fail to tame a summon, get 0, and return to being an ordinary night major. Completely unfazed by all this, Leo continued following the trail as deep as possible.